All right. How is everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning into the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So what I want to get into today is actually clothing, garments. What I want to call it actually is clothing is a bad investment. And I know a lot of people maybe like, I know who you are or who follow me and kind of know that I'm obsessed with clothing and all different types of fashion. And that's basically because I was raised in the garment industry with my family. And my grandfather at one time opened and owned the largest garment tailoring shop in all of Chicago. So I was kind of born into that industry. Some of my other family members owned large factories as well regarding that. They used to do a lot of the uniforms for all different years. I'm talking like 50s and 60s, 40s, that time frame. So so what I've learned more than anything is, I guess you could say, the value of clothing. And I don't think a lot of people understand the markup to it. And I kind of learned this from my father. And my father used to have all his suits tailored. And if you have a suit now tailored, it can cost you, it depends on where you have it tailored. I'm talking from scratch, the whole 9 yards. It can cost you it depends. I'm not going to get into all that because it just depends on where you're at, where you live, what the thread count is, what type of materials you're using, who's doing it, the whole thing. But you realize when you're in that industry, the markup, how astronomical it is in the clothing garment. So I'll just give you an example. I used to know, one of my cousins is married to somebody who used to do all the bikinis, who was in the bikini industry and sell bikinis in Bahamas and all other places. And what was interesting is I kind of knew, just being in that industry, that, bikinis were scraps originally, or bathing suits were made, a lot of them with scrap materials. What was interesting is bikinis were relatively reasonably priced years ago in the, I want to say 70s and 80s maybe. And then all of a sudden it had a huge spike, I think, that I saw. Maybe I'm wrong, but I saw a huge spike. All of a sudden bikinis were $20. And then all of a sudden these retail brands started coming out, or even stores marketing swimwear. All of a sudden a bikini went from $20, a scrap type of, outfit, I guess you could say. Now they're $60, $80, $120. And I get maybe the material was a little better, but the markup was astronomical. So I knew somebody in that industry, and I knew they were extremely wealthy in South Florida, living in Boca Raton, because one of my cousins married into that family, which was quite interesting. So my point being is, if you look at something from that perspective, right, and it could be a pocket scarf, a handkerchief, a lot of times you could see them for sale for $30. Again, it's a piece of scrap material. And that can even include ties and all these different things that have now gotten to the price point of being ridiculous. Even, if they stamp a Versace on there, I don't care if it's a Burberry tie. I don't care if it's Brioni. I don't care if it's Armani. And whoever it is, they're kind of just stamping something on there. And don't get me wrong, these are nicer materials. But again, they're not worth what you're paying for them. And so what I really want to do now is kind of get into your closet. And if you're a shopaholic, you got to look at it like this too. Clothing probably is even a worse investment than your car. As you know, probably the first 2 years of your car, regardless, unless it's a specialty car, you're going to probably lose about 40% of your value, I think, statistically now when you own your car. Again, it depends on how many miles you put on it and what type of car, but I'm just saying on the average, I think it's 35 to 40%. That's what type of hit you're going to take getting a new car. Now with clothing, you're going to take, probably when you buy your clothing, you're going to probably, and I'm not exaggerating, again, it depends on the clothing, you may take probably an 80% hit on your clothing. Selling used clothes, now that doesn't mean online you can't resell your clothes. Don't get me wrong, and you may be able to maybe sell it for more. But a lot of times, selling used clothing is very hard. Again, maybe if you have a Gucci, certain brands, they hold a stronger value. So I don't want to throw everything into that mix. But clothes are basically disposable in most people's eyes. A lot of people don't like to wear used people's clothes or wear other people's clothes that are used. I do love consignment shopping and resale shopping. I think that's, if you love shopping, that's probably one of the best things you can do for yourself. Now, if you're a multimillionaire, God bless you. And I really get into this in my Mastering Self-Confidence program, because a lot of guys think it takes thousands upon thousands of dollars to look good, right? You can look great. You can stylize yourself very affordably if you know what to do and you have the patience and time to shop right. I don't like used clothes as far as pants. I don't like pants because, that's touching other guys' asses. I'm not down with that. But what I do like resale is certain pieces. So I'll get, like, if the shirt, it's got to be relatively new or new. Sport coats I'm good with for the most part. But when you resale shop or go consignment shopping, you can find a lot of clothes brand new in these stores. And how they get those clothes are many different ways. A lot of people get divorced, so they bring in, say a men's consignment store, they'll bring in their husband's clothes, or say they brought new clothes, the husband lost or gained weight. Theft is huge. A lot of people steal clothing, bring it in there, and I don't know if that's, when you're buying those pieces, but that's a component of resale and consignment. And a lot of clothes there are new, or they're in mint condition. So it's definitely something to look into if you want to start stylizing yourself. And I'm going to tell you something, most clothes that I wear, people a lot of times are like, you're obsessed with brands, or you're obsessed with this or that. I'm actually not at all obsessed with anything. What I am obsessed with is looking the way I want to look at the price I want to pay for it, if that makes sense. And if I was a multi-millionaire, would I be buying Tom Ford, Armani, Gucci, Brioni? Maybe, but I also probably would be more caught up in vintage because I like vintage clothing. So when I say that a lot of times, I don't mean I'm going to look like Saturday Night Fever where I'm coming out in that. But I do love some of the coats back then. I like a bigger lapel. I don't like small lapels, and nowadays everything keeps getting downsized, which I think they're trying to make things look hip that way, but the truth is it's actually cheaper to make. It's less material, and people don't look at it from that standpoint. I do. I like bigger pieces, like just more, I guess you could say, vintage style stuff. I love the classics. I call it the tuxedo look or the Rat Pack look. I really like black, whites, and grays, traditional style looking clothes where they're never out of style. That's kind of what I like. I like being in style without looking out of style, but something that really is always kind of going to stay in style, I guess you could say, which I know things are always changing. But as far as my opinion goes, those type of clothes are what fit me the best, and that's what I'm comfortable wearing. My father actually even goes too far the other way. My mother's actually very hip for her age, and then I date Rhea, who's she's been in the retail industry a majority of her life, so she really destroys me on the level of knowing a lot of things, even though I do know a lot. But she knows the brands, the pieces, the years. It's unbelievable, her closet, and she has an unbelievable sense of style. And I'm learning from her all the time, and I think some of the things I do, I think she kind of learns as well a little bit. I may, just different things that we discuss on what looks good, where to back up, not, what do they call that now? Dripping, where you're kind of over-branding, where people are wearing, Chanel shoes, Chanel socks, Chanel, glasses. We get it, a Chanel coat, where you're overdoing, I think, the brand, where all of a sudden you just kind of look like a billboard. And that's another thing I like to do is switch up. I don't like to just be like all Burberry, hypothetically, where I got to wear a Burberry coat with a Burberry, shirt with a Burberry scarf, hypothetically, like where you overdo it. I like little pieces from everybody. I like adding my own little splash there. But back to the closet. If most people, now this isn't everybody. I want to kind of throw women into this more than everybody, because a lot of times they love shoes and they usually spend more money shopping. If you walk in your closet, you probably have thousands upon thousands of dollars just sitting there that you've never used. Or, I shouldn't say you never used, that's ridiculous. You've used, but not that often. And what happened, I think, in society now with social media, more than ever, is women take photos of themselves for Instagram, Facebook, whatever the case may be, and they don't want to be seen in that outfit again, especially if they're going to weddings, certain doings, galas, balls, whatever the case may be. They wear that dress once, it's gone. Where I think years ago, before social media, women would wear the same gown more than once, and they would wear it at different weddings, even though, you You may have the same type of like look, like at a wedding or photos, you may, like the woman may be wearing the same dress, but it wasn't like now where she definitely doesn't want to be seen in that dress or that outfit over and over and over again. So again, when you're purchasing clothes, you got to really look at how many times am I going to wear this? What value does it bring to me? Even shoes. I know a lot of women buy shoes for certain outfits and then they never, wear them again, which is ridiculous. Now, if you have a lot of dead inventory, you should, either sell it online or go to consignment shops because you could probably make a lot of money. But don't buy things a lot of times, I believe, that you can't wear numerous times. It really doesn't make sense for an investment. Now, if you're a millionaire again, God bless you. And I do a trick sometimes when shopping. I wrote about this in my book, The Wingman, too. And when you shop a lot of times, how do I say this? Like, I get the shoes that I love first and that I know I can wear with a lot of different outfits. And I think women should consider this as well, but a lot of women shop for the dress first or the outfit first, and then they try to match the shoe to the outfit, which I understand that. I get it. But a lot of times, if you started with the shoe and then and get a universal shoe that you can wear with many different things, that's a shoe that you're going to wear with the outfits that you have in your closet. So you'll be like, oh my God, this shoe is gorgeous. I can wear it with this, 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 and this. Now, even though it's unique, I can wear it with that, but I still want to get a different dress or an outfit for the wedding. I'm going to take these shoes. Let's go find something that matches. Or if you reverse that, a lot of times they'll get something eccentric or something unique. Now they got to go find a shoe, and that shoe may only work with this outfit. I can't say that about men because a lot of men, for the most part, are very conservative when buying shoes, for the most part. Which I get into if you're a male, I'm going to tell you one of the best things you can invest in, and it doesn't have to be an expensive shoe. It's a unique shoe. It's a great talking piece. Women usually love shoes. And I'm going to tell you, unless people, especially women, aren't talking about your shoe when you meet them or saying, hey, you got cool shoes, whatever, then obviously you're not wearing a cool shoe. But if you're single and you're looking to, I'm not saying impress women, but kind of show a certain type of style that you have, shoes go a long way. Because wearing jeans is jeans, wearing pants is pants. And don't get me wrong, you may be wearing a cool shirt, which, a lot of people kind of wear cool shirts. But if you got a badass shoe that stands out, I can assure you it can grab the attention of a lot of people, especially women. And it was interesting, I was just watching a special, another one on Studio 54 in New York. And if I'm not mistaken, the doorman, how he started to pick off people to come into Studio 54, he was judging them by their shoes because he knew if they had style or not. I'm not 100% on that. I didn't see it in this special that I was watching on Netflix, but I've heard that in the past. So being in the nightclub business, you hear all this crazy shit. I don't know if I heard that on VH1, but back to losing money with clothing. The last thing you want to do is lose money on clothing, okay? You want to get things that you're going to wear or actually get your money out of, is what I should be saying. Don't get caught up, especially women, and I hate to throw them into this category again, but I see it with men too, that they get crazy things or certain things that they only are going to wear one time. And I understand a lot of times we all buy things that we're just kind of looking to stand out and be unique. But you wear it once or twice and you don't kind of like it or you're not feeling it anymore. And I go through that. Now, to go through that and buy it for a much lower price makes a lot more sense. So that's just something to really think about. And if you look at lower-end brands, and I'm not saying I even shop in these places because my arms and my body just doesn't conform to them, you can find a lot of great brands that are kind of knocking off European brands. Or more than ever, like things that look really good, much more reasonably priced. And I used to kind of call I don't want to start naming brands, that's not fair to them. But a lot of brands out there, I used to call them disposable clothing because you really, if you're going to buy a sport coat and you get it there for $40-$50, you can wear it, say 20, 30 times. That is well worth it. A lot of people I know will buy a suit or a sport coat, $1,200-$1,500. For one, they're afraid to wear it because they're afraid they're going to ruin it. Or they buy something so fancy that they only get to wear it X amount of times. You just really want to make sure what you're buying, again, you can wear numerous times and get your money out of it, in my opinion. And then also when you want to get rid of it, see, I love giving my clothes away to all my friends or whoever. So that's another thing when you're buying clothes. A lot of times, I think if you can't give it give it away and not kind of be hurt by it, like you're like, oh my God, because I know a lot of people will buy a coat for $500, $1,000, only wear it a few times or whatever the case may be. And they're like, I'll never give that away, and it just sits in their closet, and they don't wear it anymore. But because they spend so much money on it, they're kind of attached to it. Anything I buy, I almost think in my head when I'm buying it, or I'd love my friend to wear this when I'm done with it. Or, you know what, I'm going to buy it for my friend. It can't be to the point where financially when you're buying something, it's hurting you. And that just goes for anything in life in general. And with clothing, I think a lot of people, when they're kind of making money sometimes, they got a new job and all this, they start spending more and more money on clothes. And then when the bottom falls out, back to having a great closet, but nowhere to wear that stuff to, but they spent too much money. Now it's kind of all dead. It's all the money's dead, kind of, because now what are you going to do with all this clothing? It wasn't like you took it and brought something that, appreciated instead of depreciated. So think about that when buying clothing, shopping in malls, especially for you people that love the high-end stuff, which I get it. I even used to work at Neiman Marcus, and I understand all that. I get it. But the other thing is, too, I wouldn't get caught up. I don't like knockoffs necessarily, and I know a lot of people do, and I've spent a lot of time in the areas that sell a lot of knockoff stuff that can go for like the LA Fashion District, New York, Chicago, all these different areas. And it is almost at the point, let's call it for what it is, they are starting to master this, especially purses for like Louis, Prada's, Armani's, Chanel. They are getting so good at knocking off brands, it's almost literally impossible. It's not impossible unless you're in the industry or you sold that product, but it's really hard to tell a lot of times. So unless, again, you have the money, especially ladies, and you're spending $2,500, $5,000. I know a lot of times that makes you feel great when you buy an authentic brand with that purse, or a purse, or it could be I don't care if it's a belt buckle, shoe, wonderful. Just if it is putting you, if you have to charge a lot of your clothes too, again, you have to realize when you're charging that say purse, and purses actually can hold some value, but say shirts or an outfit, if you're going to spend $1,000 on something and then you don't have the money to buy it and then you charge it, not only did that piece of clothing probably depreciate unbelievably when you pulled out of that store, now you're paying an interest rate on whatever you owe. So if you look at both of those, you'll wonder why a lot of people who have, shopping disorders or are shopaholics usually end up broke or end up in debt, thousands upon thousands of dollars. And a lot of their purchases were just made that were horrible purchases. And a lot of that, I think, falls under fashion, especially with accessories, with women, again, with shoes, purses, and all that. And a lot of men do it too. A lot of men, I think, get caught up with certain brands that they become attached to, and they can find that brand relatively a lot cheaper by either going to outlet stores or looking for sales. I really get into that in my Mastering Self-Confidence program, and I even do videos on my YouTube channel, and I'm showing different people where to shop in all over North America for deals. That includes consignment shops, that includes secondhand stores, or it includes outlet malls, and it includes regular malls too, and how to really, when you shop, the number one thing I tell people is when you walk into a store of a brand that you specifically like or anywhere, you want to head towards the sales rack. Please head there first. A lot of times you may find something there that you really like that's a lot less money. And don't get caught up in trends. Set the trend, I always say. There's a difference. Did I just belch? I think I just belched there. I just had a coffee. Who cares? But yes, don't worry about following trends, set trends. They come in and out. Whatever looks like it's in fashion now or whatever, I get it. In 6 months, fashion's so ugly, it's got to change. That's kind of a funny saying, but it's true. It's constantly changing. For you to go spend X amount of $400 on a certain shirt, and then in 2-3 months, you could go in there and buy it for $100 is whack. And that's what happens a lot of times. Always head to the sales rack. I don't care what a sales associate comes to you. I don't care if they frown upon you. You do not always have to pay full price for things. Really go to the sales first. And also, here's a trick regarding this if you really want to get into shopping. I do this a lot. So I travel all over North America, and I buy clothes that which kind of makes sense. So if it's summer, I'm buying winter clothes. People are like, are you nuts? A lot of times you'll go in there and they're unloading all their winter clothes for 10 cents on a dollar. So, and I also say Florida, right? You may not get all the current styles or the hippest stuff, but all over the United States, if you go to Florida, for instance, go buy a coat there, a winter coat, a lot of times, it's going to be 80% off, 70% off. Not many people buy them there. They still get that inventory shipped to all their stores because they have to, it's almost like they have to, send them to so many because that's how many they purchased of this brand. Great deals like that. Say like swimsuits and things. If you're in Chicago and winter's coming, everything's on sale to get rid of bikinis and everything. Everything is, well, they're kind of high on taxes. Chicago's not a good example, but my point being is, one is when it's out of season, buy it. A lot of people don't buy it because they're like, well, it's not in season. I don't want to waste my money. No, that's the time to buy it because it's on sale for a huge discount. Also, so I went through this in the Bayou. I just did a video on this actually not long ago. So I can get a lot of unbelievable golf wear in Florida at the outlets or resale consignment stores. Arizona has, I just did a video yesterday. I just posted a video today on this. Scottsdale has 3 unbelievable consignment stores. They're called Well Suited. They're attached to my sister's closet. There's one in Encinitas as well. They've got great golf wear there as well. A lot of new and used. But if you go to the Bayou, I'll just give you an example. So not a lot of people, at least that I see, it's not like a huge golfing community. So a lot of golf wear actually sometimes in Orlando, Florida, where I live, can get expensive. Certain brands. I was at the Bayou, and I went to this one of these stores, a new store in the mall, and I went immediately to the sales rack. And they have a golf section, which is really weird. I don't even know why they have it there. The area that I was in, I don't know anybody that golfs there. But I said, they're going to have really reasonably good prices on golf pants. I like golf pants because they're, they stretch. They're really good material because my legs are kind of big and they rub together. So I said, let me go look at golf pants and see if they're for sale. Again, it's winter. So I know it's winter and I'm looking for golf wear. Not many people, not that it gets super cold there, but again, who's golfing there? Who knows? All these clothes were for sale. But I went to the pants area and they had Greg Norman pants, which is he's a pretty great brand. He used to actually live in Bay Hill. We used to see him drive up. I'm positive it was him. But anyways, Greg Norman, I looked at his pants, and normally in Florida, even I can't usually get a great discount of pants from there unless you maybe go to Steinmart. But his top-of-the-line pants could be $120 to $180, just depending. They had them there already for $34, and then I think it was like 60% off. Anyways, I got 3 pairs of pants for $60 there, Greg Norman pants. And top of the line, beautiful golf dress pants. And that's what I'm trying to tell you now is if you travel sometimes to certain places, kind of go the opposite of what would be kind of hip in that area, if that makes sense. So obviously if you're in Scottsdale, they're huge with golfing. A lot of people golf there. So what you may want to look there is something else different than golf wear. It could be even furs. It could be even heavier coats or something because, again, you're going to find a better deal there, the things they don't always sell. You may not have the selection, say, New York, Chicago, Boston, and all that either. But just shop, look at sales because what doesn't sell there, they don't want to spend money shipping it back. They need to unload it. So that was just something to think about. And that goes for women as well. A lot of times you just shop in areas or places that you wouldn't expect to shop at, I guess is what I'm saying. So, yeah, so let me see where the hell I'm at here. Wow, that was 23 minutes. Unbelievable. But yes, please don't piss your money away on a lot of clothes. It's not going to work out for you. Again, if you're a millionaire, wonderful. And again, I love looking great. And you can look great and shop, and especially online now. I don't like shopping online because it's almost like a treasure hunt for me. I need to try everything on. I don't have the patience for things that come in and out. Try it on, send it out. When I was like 3, 4X, when I was much bigger years ago, that's where I'd have to go to the big and tall store or I'd have to have stuff shipped to me. Excuse me. My ex-wife used to have those clothes shipped to me because I really only could get really great looking clothes in Vegas for the most part. Truthfully, they had the beautiful silks and all the type of clothes and the suits I wanted. But now, my God, you guys can shop anywhere. But just take your time and realize all the money you're spending on clothes, you could be spending it on something else too. All right. And that goes for your kids too. I know a lot of our kids get caught up in all these things. And my daughters actually are quite the opposite. One just wants to wear fitness wear. And then the other one loves consignment shopping, I guess, because she's always doing it with me. She thinks clothes is a ripoff, but she loves fashion. But she's like, why would I spend $120 on this shirt or $80 on this when I could get it here for $20? 15, or I can, she's very savvy with that. And teach your kids that, when shopping, if you're going to spend top dollar, make sure, again, they get to wear it a lot more than just a few times. I understand sometimes, especially with kids, it gets trendy. But if they're going to buy a certain gym shoe, make sure you don't keep buying them more and more gym shoes where they have 10 pairs of gym shoes and then they're outgrowing their shoes. It doesn't make sense. I see it happen all the time with parents. Same with their clothes, spending a ton of money on their clothes, and like in 3 months, they're already outgrowing those clothes. Just be aware of those type of things. I would think that would be common sense, but I don't. And again, if you have money, you can spend whatever you want to spend. But I think a lot of times, a lot of people don't have that extra money, or they're spending money in areas that they should just be pulling back a little bit and saying, you know what, I'm going to get you this gym shoe. I'm only going to get you 1 or 2 pairs of gym shoes every 6 months or every year, or until they grow out of them. Not where you're always buying gym shoes for them, or always buying sportswear for them, or all these different type of things. So I'm going to wrap it up there. All right. If you get a chance, you can check out my YouTube channel. I'm always posting things regarding trying to help people travel affordably, and that includes shopping and how to save money doing that. I have this podcast, and what else do I have? We're on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook as well. And if you want to check out my Mastering Self-Confidence program, it's got 45 hours of information, and a lot of it is geared around fashion, fitness, and hygiene. Besides trying to help men find the woman or women of their dreams. And shopping is definitely the place to find a lot of women. I did a video on YouTube as well. The mall is one of the best places in the country to meet women. Not only just to go meet them randomly, but also to go in stores and meet them there as well, because a lot of women work in malls, right? So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up there. Take care, and if you're traveling, safe travels.